Hey there, interwebs, and welcome back to How Fascinating. You may remember that in episode 39 we touched on the names of chess pieces, and it turns out that I shouldn't have taken my finger off of them, because I've since learned that each of the 8 pawns also has its own occupation, too. The gambler, being a common lowlife, goes to the far left, that being the most sinister position, literally. Next to him is the city guard or policeman in front of the knight, because historically knights trained the city guard in real life. Next is the innkeeper in front of the bishop, followed by the merchant and the doctor, the king's money changer and the queen's personal physician, respectively. The weaver or clerk is in front of the other bishop for whom they wove or clericked. In front of the other knight is the smith, who made armor for the knight or shoes for his horse, and last is the farmer in front of the castle, for which he was a vassal. What a hassle. I have also heard pawns humorously referred to as prawns. We've previously established that the word pawn comes from the Latin word paedonem, meaning foot soldier, but prawn comes from the Middle English prain, and we have no idea what its etymological origin is. It just seems to have popped into existence in the early 15th century, and presents no clear cognates in any languages apart from English. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, no similar name is found in other languages. In Australia, prawn is also slang for an idiot or otherwise foolish or naive person, and this is from whence we get the phrase come the raw prawn, meaning to play the part of the fool. Speaking of shellfish, we also established in the previous episode that it's not a scientifically valid term, since it refers to both crustaceans and bivalves, which belong to separate phyla. Since it can't be answered scientifically, I have a philosophical question for you, dear viewer. Are sea turtles shellfish? I say no because arthropods and mollusks both belong to the clade Protostomia, whereas reptiles such as sea turtles are vertebrates and thus belong to the clade Deuterostomia. My girlfriend also says no, because sea turtles must surface to breathe. That being said, they're still marine animals with shells, so let me know what you think in the comments. Lobsters definitely are shellfish, even though they don't have true shells and they're not fish, because there's no such thing as a fish. Also, strictly speaking, arthropods have chitinous exoskeletons, not shells. Shells are bone-like calcareous structures, meaning they contain calcium carbonate. Nevertheless, restaurants still market lobsters as shellfish, so tell me, what are the 2 tastiest parts of one? I'm guessing you said the claws and the tail, or, if you're feeling cheeky, the left claw and the right claw. Both of those answers are wrong, because lobsters have neither claws nor tails. True claws are made of hardened keratin and are only found at the ends of digits on amniotes, such as mammals and reptiles, which, as a reminder, includes birds. Certain arthropods, like lobsters and scorpions, instead have what are known as chelae, and legs terminating in these structures are called chelipeds. The tail of a lobster is its abdomen, and real tails are unique to vertebrates. While we're on the subject, which animal primarily gets about by lobstering? I know what you're thinking, but despite the name, the correct answer is actually prawn. Lobstering, more accurately known as the Caridoid escape reaction, is a type of swimming movement employed by long-bodied crustaceans such as shrimp, krill, and crayfish. Lobsters are also able to employ this technique owing to their extended abdomen and tail fan, but their primary form of locomotion is walking along the sea floor like a crab, rather than swimming through the water like a shrimp. As a matter of fact, lobsters are sort of an intermediate evolutionary phase of shrimp becoming crabs. Like shrimp, they have roughly cylindrical bodies with long abdomens and antennae, whereas crabs have stout, wide, flat carapaces and short antennae. But unlike shrimp, which have pleopods adapted for swimming, lobsters of the family Nephropodidae have powerful pincers and robust legs adapted for walking, like crabs, although they walk forwards rather than sideways and are still able to zoom backwards like a shrimp. Additionally, I said shrimp becoming crabs and not vice versa because that's how it has historically played out. Modern crabs evolved from more shrimp-like ancestors, and they're not alone on said path. Contrary to what Voyager would have you believe with its giant salamander monsters and sci-fi so soft you could spread it on toast and call it breakfast, evolution doesn't have a preordained path, or even a destination, but if it did, it would probably be a crab. I say this because things have turned into crabs so many times that the phenomenon has its own special name, carcinization. In layperson's terms, this is when a species evolves into a crab-like form from a non-crab-like form. Kyler, Virkner, and Richter laid out the following 3 morphological qualifications in 2017. 1. The carapace is wider than it is tall. 2. The sternites are fused into a single plastron. And 3. The abdomen or pleon is dramatically flattened and curled underneath the cephalothorax. This transformation has occurred at least 5 times in the evolutionary history of decapods alone. In addition to the Brachyura infraorder of true crabs, it also occurred no fewer than thrice in anemorans. Do you realize what that means? It means this is the ideal male body. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. Special mention, however, has to go to cyclids. These round boys evolved a crab-like morphology in the Carboniferous period before crabs made it cool, which basically makes them pre-CCR hipsters. No, I'm not talking about Cretans, I'm referring to the Cretaceous crab revolution. This was a major biological diversification event that occurred during the Cretaceous period, around 145 to 66 million years ago, and which originated roughly 4/5 of modern groups of crabs, including the oldest known true crab, Eoprosopon klugi. The crab wannabes in the infraorder Anemora include hermit crabs, king crabs, coconut crabs, porcelain crabs, and hairy stone crabs, and the phenomenon can be seen to a lesser degree as well in yeti crabs and horseshoe crabs, the latter of which aren't even crustaceans, but arachnids. Even the blood-sucking parasites Plerus pubis bear enough similarity to have gained the colloquial name of crabs. So, why do things keep evolving into crabs? To be honest, we can't say for certain. It's been theorized that a shorter pleon is one fewer tasty appendage for potential predators to grab hold of, and the reduced overall body length leads to greater mobility. Just compare the versatility of a smart car with that of a 12-passenger van, which my friend once complained had the turning radius of a small building. At the highly crab-like end of the false crab spectrum, we can even see cases of hypercarcinization. For example, in addition to its shortened carapace, members of the species Allopetrolisthes spinifrons also exhibit crab-like sexual dimorphism, wherein the pleons of the males are shorter than those of the females. There are species of porcelain crab, which are closely related to similarly crab-like squat lobsters. Incidentally, I now have the perfect insult for a sunburnt gopnik. And speaking of ethnic stereotypes, I used to joke with my Italian friend that his ancestors evolved from crabs, since their homeland has vast stretches of rocky coastline and they communicate with wild gesticulations of their forelimbs. Now I see that I was mistaken. Italians didn't evolve from crabs, they're evolving into crabs. An even more pronounced case of human carcinization can be seen in professional arm wrestler Matthias Hellboy Schlitte, who may be the first step on our species' slow transformation into fiddler crabs. That was obviously a joke, but it's not as ridiculous as it may at first seem. You see, his career is a result of his notable asymmetry, not the other way around as many people assume. Schlitte was born with a rare genetic bone disorder which causes his right forearm to be drastically larger than his left, so he went into competitive arm wrestling and became the youngest winner ever of Germany's over-the-top tournament and has racked up 8 German national championships and 14 international championships. I guess when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, and when life makes you a crab, become an arm wrestler. All joking aside, his unusual condition has made him a minor celebrity, and thus increased his social status. In evolutionary biology, this often goes hand in freakishly oversized hand with greater reproductive fitness, i.e. the ability to pass one's genes on to the next generation. Putting it simply, this is exactly how we would evolve into crabs, so maybe we should just accept the inevitable. Basically, on a long enough timeline, everything becomes crab. Even the subject of this video started out as chess pieces, but now we're talking about things turning into crabs, in a perfect example of what XKCD has termed metacarcinization. If you enjoyed it, you should follow me on Twitter, where I cultivate an ongoing thread of carcinization jokes. And, just to bring things back around to the start, there's a strategy in chess known as the crab opening. Thanks for watching, and have a fascinating day.